Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to Snap Take. I'm excited. We've got our Phoenix Season Pass giveaways. I got my Infinity Border on the default, which is the proper first thing to do. I used 5 tickets for it. 3 of the 5, I made it to the Infinite round and got it on the third of those. So far, so good as far as Infinity Conquest goes. We also have a Mr. Negative deck that finished in the top 4 of a major tournament. It finished in the top 4 of the Snap Battle Arena tournament, and that's fundamentally unheard of. So I think it's important we talk about that deck too. All right, we all ready? Let's look at our giveaway winners before we go any further. First things first, we are ending the giveaway at 1,170 followers, which means we are giving away 8 season passes. Those are Mayhern BR, Lightning Fang 46, B Mavinil, Paradise Thing, Zhao Pisamanso, Pipivella, Cheesebutt69, classy name, and Paige M. You have all been reached out to on Twitter as long as you provide proof that you're subscribed. And if you're watching this, I assume you're subscribed. As long as you can provide proof you're subscribed, I'll get back to you with how to claim your giveaway. All good? Congratulations to our winners. Let's move on to the decks. Also, just before we go any further, quick reminder, we do this every month. Maybe not exactly the same. I don't know if I can afford to give away 8 and all the Token Tuesdays every month, but I'm going to do my best, and we are definitely doing the giveaway. Cool. Let's go on. Iron Bounce. This deck, for longtime viewers, I know a lot of you are relatively newer here, will look familiar to many of you. As soon as Beast was nerfed, I set out in the 90s to prove that Beast was still good, that Bounce would still be a viable meta deck. Everyone was going, oh my god, Bounce is dead, oh my god, Bounce is dead. And I went, I don't think so at all. And so I put together this deck. I'm aware that other people have played similar decks since then. I'm aware that other people were probably playing this deck before. But literally, longtime viewers can find the day this released me saying 80% win rate with this deck, Climb to Infinite. Guess what? It's now been a ridiculous amount of games. The win rate is still 80% for this deck. What it does so well, what makes it so powerful, what makes it so powerful is that it has so many avenues for power. Is Collector usually more than 6 or 7? No, but a 2/7 is a great stat line. Kitty is huge. The Hood is very often either a 1/3 or thanks to both Falcon and Beast not on the board. Bast is phenomenal and provides a pump to basically everything in the deck but Beast. Mysterio, it loses power in one lane but is better. Everything about this deck is fantastic. So fundamentally on turn 1, you'd like to either Kitty or Bast on turn 2. I often will, if I have Kitty and another one, either Bast or Ham, I'll play those 2 cards. And then I'll start my Angela on turn 3 with Kitty into Angela. At that point, I usually ignore Bishop. If I have Beast in hand, I'll just Beast back the ones and Angela so I can reposition them as I want. If I don't, that's when I play Bishop. Collector is third in line for cards I play, by the way, if we're talking about this exact order. If I have Bast on 1, I like to play Bast on 1. I know some people argue it should be saved, but as long as the hand isn't like Falcon and Beast and Collector, I'm Basting on 1. Once I've bounced everything back on turn 5, I'm very often going off. I'm very often on turn 5 trying to play as many cards as possible to try and get the benefit. Turn 5, especially if I have a couple of zeros, is when I'm going to drop, where possible, my Hitmonkey Mysterio combo along with my 0-cost Kitty, my Demon, and my whatever, Spider Ham or Bast. Second place is Spider Ham here are really good. Then last turn, if they haven't waived me, if they haven't done any shenanigans, I'd like to play Kitty, another one in Iron Man, and it works phenomenally. There's a ton of power all over the board. This deck is closer than the Shang-Chi versions with the Lockjaw ones. There's versions of this deck that run Shang-Chi that are slightly better into the Lockjaw matchup. Totally fine with that. If you are running that, then you're down to the. If you do want to run Shang-Chi, then you're at the Lambie version, except Lambie's version runs Iceman instead of running Lightning, excuse me, runs Iceman instead of running Shang. So you cut Iceman from the Lambie version, you put Shang in. Sorry, one more thing. When I hit Infinite with this the first time, Iceman was in that Spider Hands M spot. Iceman is great against that Lockjaw matchup. If that's what you're worried about, then either Hood or Spider Ham for Iceman is a really, really great answer. You're not really having trouble with anything else. The only losses I had basically all day were into other bounce decks, or into Lockjaw decks. They're clearly the meta. These are the best things you can do. Check them out, try them out. You're not going to be sad. I'll probably hit infinity in the next week. Sorry, hit infinite on ladder in the next week using something similar to this. But I have deck ADHD, so like, and real ADHD, just for the record. But I have deck ADHD, so expect me to be playing a lot of different things, and we'll go from there. All right, negative. This deck breaks my brain. I can't believe that it did so well in the tournament. Um, it's basically a standard negative, right? It's running Zabu to try and get the negative out early. It's got Bast to make basically everything that you already have in your hand more powerful. It's got Yandu to power up Null, which I think is the real spice here. It's running Magic for the extra turn, and it's running Gene because when you have that extra turn, having the ability to draw all those zeros at once is absolutely incredible. And when you don't, that extra turn is also phenomenal. 3/5 Magic is really good. Okay, let's look through the play lines of this deck. Ideally on 1-year Bast, 2-year Zabu, 3-year Negative, right? At that point, if you've drawn Magic, you Magic. If not, you sit. Magic on 5, Thor on 6, and then as many zeros as you can last turn. Ideally, Null is negative, negated, whatever the phrasing you would prefer, so you can Zola it, and that's just a massive amount of power because it's going to double twice. You can Shang something to make that more likely. You can Yandu something to make that more likely, especially if you have both on board, instead of, and you don't have Jane, or you have an 8/5 Jane or whatever. You also, of course, always have the classic play of playing Iron Man and Mystique after your powerful Mr. Negative. Iron Man's a 0/10, Mystique's a 0/6, both of which end up giving power to the rest, double power to anything else you have out. So a Jane will become a 5/16 at that point. A reversed magic would be a 3/10, so on and so forth. All of these are extraordinarily powerful plays. Don't be afraid to Zola your Iron Man as well, or Shang-Chi, as the case may call for. One small trick, you do want to try and keep a lane relatively empty because that gives you the power to be able to Zola without fear on that last turn. And even if you don't Zola that last turn, you can usually drop enough zeros then to be fine. You have a little bit of vulnerability to wave on 5, but that's one of the benefits that Magic being in the deck gives you. As long as they don't know what you're doing, that wave on 5, sorry, that Magic on 5 will stop them. And if they choose not to wave and try and wave on 6, you get to mind games if you're playing Conquest and just Jane then, right? And you can just go off the turn sooner. Really, really hard to play around. Telling you, this deck is really cool. I really, really appreciate when I played this. I played a version of this. I think I featured it a few weeks ago. Roy played a version of this. My Snap Judgments co-host, Marvel Snap Zone, by the way, my Snap Judgments co-host, that was running Living Tribunal, but it didn't have Yandu and Shang. It instead had like Darkhawk and Rockslide, both of which are obviously excellent cards with the whole negative thing, right? But the Null was often weaker than you'd want it to be. This deck solves for that issue in a really brilliant way. All right, those are our 2 decks for today. Don't forget to check over at Marvel Snap Zone. I will have an article up featuring, honestly, I'm just going to feature the first deck. I'm going to feature my Infinite deck because, I mean, I feel like it's just earned being talked about. I know people have talked a lot about Bounce, but I feel like my version, by carrying me to an 80% win rate for so long, has earned being talked about as the deck of the day. All right, cool. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate your support. Tune in tomorrow for another Snap Take. We're going to be talking Phoenix. And oh boy, do I think I have some really great spice for you. Have a great one.